Hi, today I would like to go over some more shading. So yesterday, whenever we shaded, I shaded this sphere and I did it in a pencil. If you'll remember back on Monday, I had you use a regular wood pencil. I had you use a uh, mechanical pencil. And then on my last one, I actually had you shading with an ink pen, which a lot of times I get a lot of complaints with students where they're like, shading with an ink pen, Mrs. Rao, why are you going to make me do that? And I want to show you an example of that and kind of, we're going to work up to that. That's not what I'm going to expect you to do. I'm going to move my camera real quick. That's not what I'm going to expect you to do right away. So hang on. Let's give this a try. So to begin with today, we're going to be using a mechanical pencil. And if you're guessing, tomorrow we're going to use a pen. So woo, we're getting there. Don't worry about it. All right. So I wanted to show you an example today of kind of where we're going with the pen shading. And this is a sketch from the retired art teacher. She was throwing this away, and I was like, oh, you can't throw that away. So anyway, this is her pen sketch. And with her pen sketch, I'm going to bring this up to the camera some more so you can see it more fully. And with this one, you can see how she shaded with the pen. There are times where, yes, and this is like really just a regular cheap pen that she's used. There's places where she's used it all the way, where it's completely dark. There are places where it's kind of faded in. There's a light source. There's all of this going on. And I know this is probably a little bit more advanced than what you were hoping I was going to show you, but you can do it. And this adds a whole nother element of like a way that you can shade things. So what I'm going to do today is, I got to put away my regular pencil. I'm going to use a mechanical pencil because you might not be ready and feel confident to shade with an ink pen just quite yet. We're going to get there, but this is an easy way to kind of get the same effect, except if you mess up, you have an eraser. So we're going to use this Monday. Monday I talked about how streaky mechanical pencil is and how I just really didn't like it to use it for shading. Well, let's go ahead and use it with its advantages. We know it's kind of streaky. We know that's kind of how it works. So we're going to kind of use it, but know that it has those limitations. All right, so I erased the lines because they were really kind of too dark and too strong on there. Once again, we talked about not outlining things, so remember that. On this one, we have the sun, and the sun is shining down on the, we've got another ball over here, but it's, remember I told you it was like an olive. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw a little circle there, and that's going to be the part where the sun is coming down and it's going to be hitting it. So just like yesterday, except you're using a mechanical pencil, just like yesterday, we're going to be shading in that motion where it's going to be a curving motion. And remember that we're shading a sphere, so because we're shading a sphere, it needs to move like it's, almost think of it like it is stretched over the top of the sphere. So if it's stretched over the top, if you're, it's going to need to be rounded. So let's kind of take that and kind of curve, curve, curve. And when it gets closer and closer in, it's going to get smaller and smaller so that it eventually is going to kind of work itself around that circle. All right, so I'm going to continue doing this. I'm going to pause my video and I'm going to come back to you guys in a few minutes. You can see what I'm doing here, but I got a lot of work to do. So I'm going to keep going line by line to add them together. And remember with this one, we don't have to completely color in 100%. This is a blended look and a blended effect. That's not our goal for this one. It's going to look kind of scratchy. It's going to look kind of in between. This type of shading is actually called hatching. So you know blended. Blended shading is, maybe I haven't used that word before, but I always kind of feel like that's kind of an obvious sort of word, so I don't even like teach that vocab. With this one, it is, oh, I got one line really dark. So teachers make mistakes. So I'm going to keep doing this for a while, and I'm going to pause my video and I'm going to come back to you guys so that you can see what it looks like in the end. All right, guys, so this is the end of my shading here. So you can see, ooh, there we go. This is the end of my shading. You can tell that I could keep adding. Feels like it's not as dark on my camera here, but there are places I could keep adding to it. Also, if you think about where the lighting source is, so if we're going to take our light and the sun with the light source going through there, this should point to where the shadow should be. So let's go ahead and the shadow should fall just at the point where the sphere touches the ground. Now I'm going to go ahead and kind of, it's a really, I don't know, like a high noon sort of, so there's not a whole lot of shadow here. So I'm going to go ahead and as dark as we can go, blend it out just a little bit so it's more of a medium and lighter. All right, so that, I would encourage maybe some solid blended shading on here. Sometimes it needs to kind of stick out just a little bit. All right, guys, so I always never quite finished with it. I always see things like, oh, maybe just a little add there. All right, so have some fun shading with a mechanical pencil today. I would recommend that you have to use a mechanical pencil with its drawing limitations, but if you use it correctly, it can be its own thing. Tomorrow, what we're going to do is we're going to shade with an ink pen. You can do it. All right, guys, have fun with this one.